A lot of people might tell you that Brussels is boring. They're wrong. The big advantage of living in Paris is that the rest of Europe is so easy to get to. For Brussels, it's just a train ride, an hour and 20 minutes. I'm taking my dog and cat with me, of course, and it's easy because they have their own European passports.
Well, I really felt like some mussels, so I'm going to Brussels.
Toby, you get in first. Go on.
Brussels!
With mussels. What do you think of when you hear Brussels? That it's the de facto capital of the European Union? That it's always wet and grey? That it has a French-style charm with a small town feeling? Brussels sprouts? And we're off to check it out. The EU bubble. All the bureaucracy is here. A lot of summits and big politics. But I see the other side of Brussels. When I think of Brussels, I think of warm, generous people, really good humor, and comic books. Brussels is the European capital of comics, home to quite a few you know, and a lot more that maybe you've never heard of. There's a cool Art Nouveau museum of comics in Brussels. It covers their history, including some questionable history. Let's just say that comic books have come a long way, and they really needed to. The rest of the museum will suck you into a two-dimensional world of imagination. There's even a mini movie theater with a seat just for me and some very silly little animation that I adored. I always wanted to have the art skills to be able to draw cartoons, but I took a different turn. And I guess making videos is what I do to tap into that creative urge. The museum also has a special area that I absolutely loved. Its library, where I can curl up and discover all sorts of comic books in a little corner that made me feel like a big kid. When hunger hits, Brussels has so many restaurants, and here's one of my favorites, La Porteuse d'Eau, in the Saint-Gilles neighborhood. It has traditional food, but not mussels. We'll get to mussels in a bit. But it's decor. This is what is great about Brussels, being able to step back in time to a beautiful period and soak it all up. In a way, I guess that's the same as Paris, London, Barcelona, or Rome. But Brussels seems so unpretentious when it does it. It just is. And if you need to walk off some of those calories, Brussels has a lot of really beautiful parks. There is the Parc du Cinquantenaire, which is lovely in autumn. There's the big Bois de la Combre in the south of the city, which has a lake and everything. There are also smaller parks in many neighborhoods, many of which are beautiful places where you breathe in the greenery. And unlike Paris, you can go with a dog into most of them. That's a big plus for me. Brussels is also the perfect place to clean your soles. No, I'm serious, because they have these things here and you can clean the soles of your shoes with them. Historically, that's what they were used for, and they're everywhere. Brussels is also pretty compact. Well, for me anyway. I tend to stick to the lower districts, Saint-Gilles, Ixelles, Etterbeek, whenever I'm here, and sometimes into the city center too. Here you'll find some old-style Europe. Cafés like this, which have history nailed to its walls. It's old, it's woody, it just sums up Brussels. The way it used to be, and the way a lot of it is still today. But I'm not a prisoner of nostalgia. Actually, a bar I really like is right in the center, Le Cercueil, which means the coffin in English. Why is it called Le Cercueil? Take a drink of this. While it makes no bones about sticking to its theme, it's actually the music that I love here. Heavy rock, metal, the stuff I grew up with. But I did say I'm in Brussels for mussels, and that's what we're going to eat now. I first got interested in mussels in Paris because I went to Léon, which is a restaurant, chainy thing. So I tried it and I was like, God damn, this is delicious. And it's such a good winter food because even though it's really light, well, I mean, if you have it without the fries, it's kind of like a soup as well, and it's really good. Plus chouchou. I always choose the same. Mussels with white wine. Yeah, this is worth the trip to Brussels alone. Sure, you can get mussels in other places around Europe and elsewhere, but I don't know, I just find they taste better here. They should. They are one thing Brussels is really known for. Another thing is waffles. Don't look to me for expert waffling about waffles, but I can take a bite into the subject matter. I'm having a gaufre, which is, I think in English is a waffle. I don't really have gaufre a lot, or at all, but I'm gonna try this one, see what it tastes. I can keep going on about eating out in Brussels in this video, and believe me, I'd love to do that, but there are other things going on here as well. It may not have the spectacular monuments of Paris, but it's a curious hodgepodge of French and Dutch influences. In fact, Brussels is known as a place where you can speak English just about anywhere. Because although French and Dutch are the country's two main languages, there's sometimes friction between both language communities, which is why English is the go-to lingua franca, which makes this city a really easy to navigate destination if English is what you speak. In some ways, it has the best sides of the French and the Dutch cultures, with a vibrant French-style restaurant scene and a savvy Dutch business-like attitude, and a lot of gaps in between. The fact that the European Union has its main institutions here means that you'll hear all European languages spoken around the city, and again, with English as the common one, which annoys the French a little bit. There are also many events in the EU bubble. Some of them are virtual. When I stay in Brussels, it's in an apartment which is huge compared to my Paris place. I mean, the bathroom alone is about the size of my Paris living room. It also has a much bigger kitchen, which is a perfect place to try out what I've learned about eating mussels in Brussels. I'm making my own. It involves a lot of chopping up celery, onions, and garlic. One for me. I bought this nice Campagne from the countryside butter. I don't know, I suppose all of them come from the countryside, but I mean, I don't imagine any cows live here. Throwing it on the stove with generous amounts of wine for the mussels and for me. One request I do have. Well, some French fries, Belgian fries go into the oven. A bit more wine while waiting. And there we have it. More mussels in Brussels. With truffle mayonnaise for the fries, because Belgium. And I suspected that I would make a fool of myself with this dessert. So, look what happened. Sorry. Yeah, that's what Brussels is about. Don't clam up though. If you like this video, smash that subscribe button. Oh, it's much nicer when you have some padding to do that.